we go.
We are
See there.
live. So, hello,
All
welcome
right,
to the Insane Asylum. Tonight we have Corbie
Mitleid or light
There we go.
Mitleid.
Mitleid. I can see. I even got it wrong again.
It's all right.
There we go.
So, let's see. I'm gonna. She is a reverend,
Hmm.
and she is a professional tarot reader
Hmm.
and a certified psychic,
Hmm.
trained medium. And so, I guess the question is, what are you ordained in?
It is non-denominational. It is Order of Melchizedek, Sanctuary of the Beloved, and I did it for two reasons. Number one, when I was reading down south, and they tried to say you doing fortune telling, that's evil work. I could say no, I'm doing
No.
pastoral counseling, and they thought it was great. The
Yeah,
other
that's
is
because down. I'm sorry. Go
half my
ahead.
relations are from Tidewater, Virginia, baby. I know. And the other is before it became the law of the land, if I had friends that were batting for the same team and they wanted sacred ceremony, by God, I was going to do it.
Hey, I have a now ex sister-in-law, which
Mhm.
they still consider me as the brother-in-law or brother, who married her significant other, and I was at the
Mhm.
ceremony and I took pictures for him, and I loved
Good.
it. It was awesome. I am a firm believer in same-sex marriage because I think they have just as much right to be just as miserable as I am.
Me, we flip from male to female, life to life to life to life. It's the two souls that are getting married. They're wearing a different coat. That's all.
That's
That's
it.
it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. It doesn't matter. If you love somebody and you feel it's right, go for it.
You
That's
got it.
that's kind of how I see
What else
it.
do you want to know?
Well, what got you started in doing all of this?
Oh,
How
now
long
that's
ago
the
did you do
30-second
it?
elevator speech.
Aha.
When I was 9, I read a book called The Witch Family by Eleanor Estes. And instead of thinking, ooh, that's scary or ha ha ha, it was, and your point is, I knew there was magic in the world. I wanted to go find it. Fast forward to 1973 when I was a senior in high school. And yes, my darlings, that does tell you how old I am. I was working part time at Spencer Gifts. They had the James Bond 007 tarot deck, and I bought it. We were all hippies then. We had our fringe jackets, our elephant bells, and a deck. 5 years later, everybody else had moved on to roller skates and disco balls. I was still reading cards. I loved the pictures. I loved the stories they told. So for 20 years, read for friends. All of a sudden in 1994, I could do hands-on healing and talk to dead people with no training. That's when God handed me my draft notice and said, "Greetings, you're working for me." So I did it part-time. Meanwhile, being an actress, an author, an inspirational speaker, a legal assistant, a video producer, an executive recruiter on this,
Holy
that's the
moly.
normal psychic on the side. Very checkered career. Um, but on 9/11, as we watched the towers burn, I looked at my husband and I said, I need to do this work full time. People need to know that there are other answers out there. And he looked at me and said, I believe in you, go do it. So for a year, I still worked with the person who was the executive recruiter head who threw files at me when she didn't like what I told her. But after a year, when I knew that I was going to be able to make a living at it, I went in, figuratively peed on her desk and left. And I have never looked back. And I now work 6 days a week, read 1,200 people a year, books, radio, television, the works. And I love it.
That is cool. That is
Well,
cool.
that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to love what you're doing in the first place if you're
Yep.
going to get anywhere in this world.
Yep.
I uh I dabbled when I was younger. I got into with the crystals and actually read some cards, read tarots at time.
Hmm.
But I never really got deep into it. And when I wound up getting married, my now ex-wife, it freaked her out, so I kind of shelved it. And um, and I probably I've honestly I regret doing the shelving part because I feel I should have just continued with it. But
And why aren't you picking it up now? Where in the good
I
book does it say
still
you
am
can't?
I still am dabbling with it.
Good.
I still am. I have my crystals. Here I'll show you one actually. This is no longer my crystal, by the way.
Okay.
This is my grandson's crystal,
What a good grandfather.
and the reason
Cool.
it's his
Mhm.
is he was sitting at my desk here one day, and I had other crystals sitting next to it,
Mhm.
and he just like all of a sudden was like, "I like this one, Grandpa," and picked it up. And I knew at that moment that that crystal actually called to him and said, "Hey,
Sure.
I want to be yours."
A lot of
So,
kids these days are indigos or rainbows or crystals. And they are, if you will, human 2.0.
uh-huh.
And they're reaching for that kind of stuff, which is important because we need to shift over to that. Yes, the world looks crazy right now, but it
Yeah,
won't be like
it
this
does.
forever.
No, it's not going to be like this forever. And with what I have learned in my past and throughout the years that I've been on this earth, I learned that um, we as a society, with the norms that we are born into, are being held back from our true potentials.
Yes, I would agree with that.
We, you know, we have all these, as we're growing up and learning things, we have all these adults out there that are telling us you can't do this, you can't do that. This is not real. Magic's
Mhm.
not a real thing. But I know for a fact that it is. I used to date a woman that was a witch. I was a Wiccan in my early years, and she liked to play with the dark magics, which I tried to get her away from, and it took her. It,
You
it
got to
took her
look at
away.
Gray. Got to look at Gray. One of my close friends is a bruja, which is the Hispanic Latino
Yes, I know what that
version.
is.
Yeah, I know you
Yeah, but
do,
not
but
everybody
your
does.
listeners may not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Um, and in fact, she has a slew of books out from Llewellyn, so she knows her stuff. And she says that the thing about brujeria is it justified? Not good magic, bad magic, but is it justified?
Right,
Which, in a sense, takes a much more mature and objective understanding of all situations
right.
because you can't let your emotions swing it.
You have to be pretty
No, no,
balanced for that.
no. You have to be in balance whenever you
That's what it
practice
said.
the arts, because
Yes.
if you're not, and you let it swing one way or another because of your emotions or your ambitions or whatever, it will wind up biting you.
Even, there isn't complete white magic, everything is fine. I call that being glurpy purple with
No,
angels.
no. Yeah,
Let's see
I
what your
agree.
angels are saying today, darling. Oh, please, have you looked at the world?
Oh yeah, I know the world's a scary, terrible place right now, and we need more of what you do and what I used to do and trying to get back into. We need more people into that, because if we could ever truly grasp the what needs to be grasped and brought back into our lives, which used to be there at one time, and bring it back into the world, then things would change, and they would change for the better for everyone, not just one nation, not just one color. It would change for the entire planet.
I know. It's one of the reasons, look, being 65, I'm coming off the road now.
You
It's
don't look
time.
it.
Two magic words, darling. No children. Takes 10 years off your looks right there. But um, it's important that the next generation come up, which is why I wrote The Psychic Yellow Brick Road. It's also why I wrote my new book. Timing sucks, but it's called You've Got the Magic, Who Needs a Genie? For all those people who want to do holistic expos, spiritual psychic fairs, and want to be A-listers. So, I mean,
Yeah.
my nickname used to be the Travel Channel because I did 45 shows a year.
Wow.
And so everything I learned doing 45 shows a year for 18 years is in that book. I don't mind sharing the stuff. There's room for everybody.
Yeah, there
So,
is.
and why
And
should they have to reinvent the wheel?
no, you don't need to.
Mm-mm.
Everybody has it in them. They're all born
Yes,
with
they
it.
do.
Every one of us are born with it.
Hmm.
Some of us are more in tune to it than the others. You obviously are very well in tune to it. Me, and I'm trying to get more in tune to it.
The way I explain it is we all have 10 fingers. Some of us can play chopsticks or maybe heart and soul, and some of us are Elton John. And
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch in the middle.
yeah. There is. That I have to agree with you on that. With what I know about it. So
Yes. But the important thing is if you want to learn it, you can. You've got the
yes,
equipment. We're all wired like the same house plan.
yeah. Well, it's like I've also discovered in life that you know almost every legend is based in some sort of fact. And
Mhm.
if you look at the legends of the fairy tales and the dragons and the magic users and the witches and the Wiccans and the wizards and all that, it's all of it is
There
at
is a
some
grain
point
of
based in a fact.
yes.
So yeah, I mean, and that is what this world truly needs is to have that just grabbed and brought right back into our possession again.
It also has to remember that facts are facts,
Yeah,
but
they are.
that's a whole nother show. Um, so, what else? Pick my
Well,
brain. I love it. I love questions. I
you
love it when
know,
people pick my brain.
you were on another show that I watched this week, and I was just, in fact, just watching, and I was just, it was like a magnet. I was hooked. I guess is the best way to put it. Um,
Thank you.
you were talking about past lives,
Ah, yes.
and that really was got my attention.
Hmm.
But the show that I was watching on was hard to watch because of one of the co-hosts.
Okay.
But you know, I was really fascinated and would like to hear more about that. And I was telling Mark about it too, what you were saying and your point of view on that. And shortly after that, we found something where, and I don't know if this is true or not, but you get to live like 13 past lives or reincarnated 13 times, and
Oh,
then you'll get
that's
this
the doctor.
manifest.
That's
Uh,
Doctor Who. He gets 13 regenerations.
okay,
People have hundreds.
Yeah.
I was
Hundreds.
kind of thinking that,
Yeah.
yeah,
So no, we're not all Matt Smith.
but
But anyway,
I was really intrigued by the way you were explaining how the soul is the part that's reincarnated,
mhm,
right?
Hmm.
Is that what it was?
sure. Let's go back to the Doctor Who example. We
Okay,
have Matt Smith. He's the actor.
right.
He
Yep.
played the 11th Doctor. Obviously, he's my doctor. But then when he was done playing the Doctor, he went over here and he played Prince Philip in The Crown. Now, Prince Philip and the 11th Doctor are two wildly different characters, but they were both played by Matt Smith. That's past lives. If the Doctor and Prince Philip are considered reincarnations, the soul was Matt Smith. And that's how we go. That's why when people say, well, the Bible says we're only here once, I say, yes, you're right. And somebody says, but I thought we incarnated. And I say, yes, you're right. Because the point is, the soul is what comes down life after life after life. Corbie Mitleid, she gets one shot. Then she's done. It doesn't mean that I will disappear into smoke when I cross over, any more than who I was when I was 25 has disappeared into smoke. She existed. I still have some traits of hers, but I don't feel the need to be hip deep in my 20 something angst. When you cross
Okay.
over, you still keep the good parts of yourself, the creative, the curious, all the good stuff. But the fears of snakes and hospitals, or the bigotry, or the scarcity thinking, all of that, it's gone. It's not part of the soul. So don't be afraid that when you cross over, it's like you're snuffed out like a candle. It's not. You are the actor who comes off stage and says, "Oh, I guess I'm really not that person. This is me." Is this making sense?
Right. Oh yeah, yeah. So I guess with the reincarnations like that, would that be something you can actually use to explain deja vus?
Sometimes. If you have gone to, let's say, Highclere Castle, it's where they filmed Downton Abbey, and you're driving there, and all of a sudden you see a building, and you feel like, I should know that building, and I know they didn't show it on the show. It could be that you were there before, yes.
Okay.
Um, but sometimes it is our soul looking at it at the same time we do and letting us know this is going to be an important place for your growth. So it depends.
Okay.
Um, a good example, my dear friend, the late Reverend Sharon Henderson, she knew who she was. She was a Confederate general. Will not say who, what, that doesn't matter. But she didn't know very much about him. But she was on one of the battlefields, I think it was Brandy Station. And all of a
Okay.
sudden, at one particular time, she gets a searing pain in her hip and goes down and cannot use that leg for about 45 minutes. That is when that particular Confederate general got shot in the hip, couldn't walk.
That'd be like a big red
And
ball back
and
then.
was that at the point where she went down? Is that at the exact point where he got shot?
I don't know because my war is World War One, not
Ah.
Civil War. And I mean, I could ask her, but that's mediumship and it's a little tougher.
Well, no,
Um,
I was just kind of wondering because the way you're
Probably it
explaining it, that
was.
kind of seems like that's how it would be.
Probably it was. But that's when she began to get all kinds of remembrances. Another example, there was a woman I knew in Colorado. She was a World War One historian. She didn't talk about it much because she had two kids and she didn't want her husband coming to take away the kids. But when we did past life regression with her, she knew stuff she couldn't have known. Things
Okay.
like we got her name, and she talked about the family regiment von Wedel, and it no longer exists. We had to go back to a Rangliste, a list of regiments from 1898 to find them, but she was correct. She remembered when, as a World War One nurse, she was wounded, the date, where she was, where they sent her to a hospital, the train station she went in. We did all of this. All of these had disappeared, but when we went back and looked, train station was there. She had described the hospital perfectly. Where she said
Awesome.
she had gotten bombed, they had records that somebody bombed that area that day.
No, that's really cool.
Dang, you know?
Yep.
So interesting. Jennifer is talking about oldest son woke up from a nap, said, my heart, mommy, I forgot to take my medicine. Yep.
And he said he lived in
Probably the
Alabama
kid
in
is
an orange
remembering
house that had
a
one
past
kitchen, one
life.
Yep.
bathroom, and one bedroom. He forgot to take his medicine and his heart stopped.
Yep. Now
That'd be your
that
great
person
nephew.
there, that's my niece.
Hello, niece.
She's she lives in Cali, so she's you know, but yeah, she's got a lot of interesting stuff too. Things things have happened with her as well, and
Mhm.
and I never really I wanted to to try and teach my daughter whenever she was younger too, but of course the ex-wife wouldn't let me do any of that. And I wish honestly I really wanted her to learn. I wanted it because I know it's there. I know I could see it there in her.
If she's meant to, it'll be given to her again. Relax.
So, what's it mean when you do past life regression?
It's a big difference between regression and retrieval.
Uh
Retrieval
huh.
is what I do. Past life regression should only, guys, write this down, tattoo it on your arm. Past life regression should only be done by a certified hypnotherapist. If they're a past life specialist, even better. Why? Because if all of a sudden you are remembering a life where you were gang raped, they can immediately talk you out so that you can observe it, but you're not emotionally caught in it.
Right.
If somebody is just playing around and you're there, that could give you PTSD for life. What I
Sure.
do is retrieval. That's where, perfect example, when my author, Rob Schwartz, and I were talking at Lilydale several years ago, woman had butch short hair. She raised her hand. She said, "Can you tell me why I'm panicked about having wet hair in my face? No matter what, can't do it." And so I said, "Wait a minute." And I went upstairs. And about 5 seconds later, I said, "You got a 5-syllable answer, Lusitania. In 1915, you were one of the passengers on the ship, got torpedoed by the Germans. When it went down, you still had that mass of Edwardian Gibson girl hair, which of course took on more water, and it was so long that debris kept getting caught and pulled you down and drowned you." She looks at me and she says, "Is that why I'm scared of boats?" I said, "Probably." So,
Wow.
knowing that
Wow.
that's not going to happen to her again, she can let her hair grow. She can stop being panicked.
Wow. That's
Oh,
cool.
that is cool. And at that point, you helped her too
Mhm.
with understanding why her panic attacks were happening.
They're usually reasonable.
Yeah.
And if
I
we can undo it, it's useful. The thing I won't do, don't say, "Well, just tell me a bunch of my past lives. I'm curious." No, it's not a movie theater.
no.
If you
Yeah.
don't need them, don't bother. You have this life to learn about Petunia.
It's a good way to put it. And sometimes these lives can be a pain in the ass as it is, but then to
Oh, and the ones that
know
come
or
to
feel
me,
guilty for something you may have done in a past life to haunt you, as well as the shit you're dealing with all at the same time,
or you have to be somebody
can be
famous.
too much.
The ones who say,
Oh.
"I must have been Anne Boleyn. I can't wear turtlenecks." Give me a break. No.
Wow. Yeah.
And you think
I,
my
I
job
bet
is easy.
I oh, no, I bet your job's pretty hard. I mean, we're already getting people asking questions, and I don't want
Yeah,
them to
in
have
fact,
you
one of them is my girlfriend,
do this stuff
Lisa.
for free for these people when you're here to talk
No,
about
you're
yourself
here
Well,
to
and your
talk to
book
I
us,
and
can
and
I can
promote
do a
you.
couple
I
of readings, but
understand.
if they have questions about what I do or how I do it, those questions absolutely I love those.
No,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's
And
the
I
one
wish
thing
they would,
more.
throw them up. Come on,
Yeah,
people.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
do free readings once a month, Facebook Live on my Fire Through Spirit page, kids. That's
yeah,
where you go, you want a free reading.
and
Awesome.
I'm sure you can find her Facebook link or just look her up because there's her name
Hmm.
and her website. Her actual website's
This is the
below.
actual website
Scrolling.
here.
Yep.
So a
On
lot of
Facebook,
good read
though,
on
2 pages.
that
Corbie
website.
Mitleid's my personal page. Fire Through Spirit is the page with all the wiki woo. That's where you want to go.
Fire through spirit. Awesome. Okay. I definitely will remember that one. I'm gonna have to check that out. I never did get to see the interview that Joe was talking about with you, and so I didn't get to see all of
It
it.
was
I
on
seen
the
like
Well,
little
experiment.
skits.
It was on the experiment with
hmm,
Tom Fine and Joe Madness.
yeah. Well,
Tom Fine's a good friend
these
of
are so
ours.
easy for me. Primarily, I was a theater major at Brown. I did act in New York. I've had my own show. So I love these. And I'm not scared of cameras and I'm not scared of, talking on the air. And I should have been a stand-up comedian if I wasn't a comic. There,
She got a great
uh,
sense of humor. I saw
yeah.
that interview, the
So,
trailer.
well, I've often said I want to be like a cross between Wayne Dyer and Swami Beyondananda in drag. Funny as hell, but normal enough that you could borrow my lawnmower.
That's actually pretty good.
Oh, Swami Beyondananda is hilarious if you've never seen him.
I think I've seen it I think I've seen him like once or twice, and that's about it. It's just, but yeah, yeah, it was pretty funny.
So,
Um, so for someone like me, for
yes,
instance,
you.
who has dabbled and is looking to to redabble and start building back up, how do I wind up reconnecting and bringing in everything that I need? Or for someone who would want to start, because I know for, honestly know that
Well,
it's all
first
there.
thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send you to boot camp. Round, center, and shield. I'm serious. People want to mess with this stuff and they don't know how to protect themselves. They don't know how to keep idiots out. Um, so there are good books. I think, hold 1 second. Let me get my book list and
All
I'll
right.
tell you. All right. The one that I recommend for rookies is Psychic Protection, Balance and Protection for Body, Mind, and Spirit by Ted Andrews.
Okay.
Why is it important? Well, for one thing, I'm going to tell you right now, don't you mess with a Ouija board. Everybody does that, and it's like throwing open your door in a strange neighborhood and yelling free beer.
Oops.
You don't know who's out there, but they heard you and they're coming. And yes, there are famous people like Esther Hicks, who has Abraham, and uh, Roberts brought in Seth. But most of the time, you get low-level spirits that are hanging out of the corner of Akashic and Karma going, look, Sid, we got another one. I have literally had to deal with two gibbering teenagers who were terrified because when they put their hands on the planchet, knowing from nothing, and said, who's here? Spelled very fast backwards was, I have an axe and I'm here to kill you. Trust me, it wasn't their Uncle Danny.
No. No.
So, yes, learn that stuff.
Well, like I said, oops.
Yes.
I
He's mis-
actually soloed it. I actually soloed a Ouija when I was 8 years old, and had a little conversation with whatever was talking to me. And its last thing it said to me was, it wants to take me to hell with it. And I just, at that point,
Bye.
I
Bye.
said, I put my hand firmly on the pointer, and I said, no, thank you, and I'm done for good, and put it away and never touched it
That's the
after
whole
that.
point. And one of my favorite things when people say, well, it was in the toy department, and I use this example when I lecture. I say, who's got a kid or a grandkid under 10? And about 5 hands go up. I pick one.
Hmm.
All right. How old is the kid? 7. What's his name? Peter. All right. Peter comes to you and says, I got all A's on my report card, and you said I could get a toy. And I want to get what this, everybody has this one. And he drags the kid, you get dragged into the toy store by the kid, and he points to a box that says, my first chainsaw. It's in the toy department. Are you going to let him play with it by himself? No.
No, of course not.
Just because it's in the toy department doesn't mean it's a toy.
right.
Get a clue.
That's the truth.
Exactly, exactly.
Yep.
And the thing is, whenever Parker Brothers started making this damn thing, they don't. I don't even think they even knew what they were making.
No.
Because
One of
I actually know what Ouijas are now, and I've done a lot of studying and a lot of understanding of these damn things, and
mhm.
it, I don't know. I've heard people say, I've heard a lot of people that have actually, that are actually more into the wicked part,
Mhm.
tell me that, oh, they can be useful if you use them correctly.
But most people will not use it correctly. It's like a tarot card. Boom, right
Hmm.
here. It's just ink printed on paper.
Yep.
But in the hands of someone like me that's been reading since Moses was in diapers, I can take this card and explain to you why it makes sense where it is in your reading. So,
Hmm.
it's same thing with a crystal ball, same thing with a scrying mirror. They are neutrals until you know how to use them or not.
I
It's just
haven't
that Ouija boards are always there.
I haven't used a scrying mirror.
That's a tough one. You really have to be able to let go and keep yourself tethered, like with one rope, and you're the balloon.
Yeah, I try not to mess with any of that stuff.
Australian crystal, or
Lovely.
Austrian, sorry, Austrian crystal.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, this is my peering crystal that I used before the, you know,
So
putting
I got a
things away.
question for you. Another
Yes,
one,
sir.
because it's got to be right up your field with
Oi.
your big, huge resume as it is.
Oi.
Um, what what how would you explain it if a lot of times somebody's like sleeping at night and
Hmm.
they sit there and they're talking to people that have passed away
Hmm.
that they knew or know or whatever, and when they wake up they remember that, and it's like it was like it was real, like something like totally real and unexplainable because you could smell, it felt like you touched them,
Yep.
the whole works. What is that?
Well, that's the difference between a dream and astral projection. We dream. It's how we scrub out our brains at the end of the day. It's how
Hmm.
we psychologically work with ourselves.
Right,
But
right,
it is also when the spirit can literally leave the physical form and travel.
okay,
Hmm.
And that's when we can get upstairs to talk to our loved ones who are dead. Now, mind you, they are probably in their full soul self. We drop the costume usually
right,
within about 3-4 weeks.
right.
My father has been dead since a week before 9/11. But when he comes to visit, he puts on his Dr. Jerry Dorkin suit and he's dead. Um, because that is love and comfort to me.
Right.
When he's up there, that's the mask he puts on. But it's dead in full soul. And that's one of the things that makes everything so real.
Yeah, because I mean, you end up remembering everything
Hmm.
about what happened, and nine
The whole
times out of ten,
conversation.
when you dream, and you're working out those problems, and it's a normal dream, you wake up and you got your solution.
Hmm. Or
But
you
with
don't
that,
remember, it whiffs
oh,
away.
you don't remember, right? But those, they tend to stick with you and kind of make the hair stand up, and you just have this like feeling, did that really happen?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
because I have this happen to me quite a bit. I've lost a lot of people in a very short period of time that were extremely close and extremely important to me. And I saw that death rattle way too many times
Hmm.
because I was
Yeah.
there. And it's like I get this, and it's like they're trying to guide me into the right path that
Hmm.
I'm trying to follow,
Hmm.
you know. But the other thing that scares me too is I've been known to out of the blue wake up and say, or just get this feeling and say something bad's going to happen, and I mention a name, and the next thing I'm getting a phone call. And this kind of stuff has been scaring me for years.
And that
You
That's
might be
know,
why you
premonition.
gotta use the book on boot camp. I mean,
y-
I have a deal with my guys that the shop's open or the shop's closed. I do not want to know when someone is going to die. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Uh, but it's one of the reasons that when I leave it open, I can be a doorway as needed. What's a doorway? Someone who will attract dead people and help
Hmm.
them get through to the light. Their spirit, the costume is still walking around down here, if you will.
Right.
The soul's fine. One of the things now, because I remember a World War I life I have an affinity for World War I soldiers. So I remember when I was living in Atlanta about 25 years ago, all of a sudden I saw one of the trench soldiers, little German guy. I only saw this much of his face because this was blank because it had been blown off. First thing they always want to know is who won. And you have to tell them it doesn't matter. You're 70, 80, 100 years past it. You got to
Yep.
get them to forgive the person who killed them, forgive themselves for whoever they killed, and then you can get them through to the light. But that's called wandering around in the gray spaces. It's not easy being a door, but it's
Hmm.
important if you can do it.
Right. Right.
well, when now I'll tell you another story. When that happened, I mean that was happening quite frequently to me beforehand, and I'd always tell my significant other at the time, whoever I
Hmm.
was with, because I didn't trust other people to think that I was crazy or something, you know. So when
Gotcha.
those feelings come across, I said something so that it wasn't making me crazy,
Hmm.
you know. And then we get these phone calls and stuff, and it's like I had no clue. But then it was December 4th, 1995. That day, I was told that I wasn't going to live to see Christmas that year, and I actually, during their diagnosis of the leukemia that I had,
Hmm.
I ended up technically dying about 5 times, and they had to resuscitate me all 5 times. And there was a couple of times that it felt like I was above myself,
Hmm.
listening to what was going on, and them getting these paddles and saying charge. But the thing that caught my attention the most was my mom screaming at the top of her lungs out in the outside the operating room or emergency room that I was in.
Hmm.
And they ended up having to get her medicine and stuff because her heart, she had a heart condition, her heart was racing so bad, and they had to calm her
Okay.
down and give her drugs. And I remember all of that, but at that time that that was happening, I was gone for a little bit.
He was
Hmm.
flatlined.
I was flatlined, and I did that like 5 times for a total of like 20 minutes, I was told.
You weren't done here, darling.
Well, that's what I keep saying. My job's not done yet,
No, he
apparently.
isn't. That's why I call him Twinkie.
Gotcha.
But I was
No,
ready to give up. That's just it at that point, you know. But apparently something wanted me to stay.
Hmm.
yeah, Lot wants him to stay because supposedly he's 10 years past his expiration date, according to the doctors.
Nope. They just misread the warranty.
Right. They didn't see the fine print, right?
Exactly so.
Apparently not.
Right.
You know, I mean, it gets when you get that close to death, though, and that happens to you, you really do look back on your past and try to change things that you can change.
Hmm.
I did learn one hell of a lesson from the 2.5 years that I spent in the hospital on and off. You know, going through chemo and a bone marrow transplant and then being on life support. And then I even went through morphine withdrawals from a drip machine. But I survived a lot more than that. That was just one of the biggest things I survived.
I think you were probably here to help other people going through it realize it's not end game if they don't want it to be.
Yeah, very well could be.
Look, I've done the cancer dance 3 times, and what I tell other people is
Well,
once you're
congratulations
past,
on beating it.
thank you. Um,
Yes, not a lot
Oddly
of people
enough,
can.
I don't say I fought cancer because what you fight fights back, and I don't say that I'm a survivor because I'm not hanging on by just teeth and toenails. A cancer dancer finds out how graceful they can be under pressure, avoids getting their toes stepped on, and gets off the dance floor in one piece. So I consider I did the cancer dance 3 times. But you then become a volunteer. It's like in the forehead because other people will need to know that yes, you can beat this. Yes, you will look different, but it's not the end of life. So, have I ever had? Oh, honey. Oh, honey.
I bet that just opened up a new can of worms.
Well, look. Number one, if you go on to my Google reviews, I have like 66, and
Yeah, I didn't try
60 of
doing
them
that.
are 5 star and 3 or 4 star, and then I have a 3 and a 2 and a 1. And the girl who said that I was a 1 star said I was mean and I was nasty, and I obviously was just doing it for the money. And you know, I have one answer for people like that:
Karen. Oh.
blessings on your journey.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Look, I'm not everybody's favorite flavor of psychic. That's it. If you want glurpy purple with angels, it ain't me. I know some people to send you to, and they're good, but they're not my style. I am hit you upside the head with a clue brick, but you're laughing so hard you don't mind. And I'm fast and I'm practical. Uh, on my YouTube channel, I just put up a video on how to do a tarot reading about a relocation. And it's not whether she should move to San Bernardino, Houston, or Boston, 1, 2, 3. It's you look at housing, you look at finances, you look at how the kids will adjust, you look at the
Hmm.
work situation. There are 9 different things. And then you assign points. And at the end, the one with the closest number of points to everything is perfect, that's where you go. Now, that is the difference between a psychic and an intuitive counselor.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
My job is not to amaze you with my wiki woo. I could care. My job is to be here in service. And if this is the question you're wrestling with, it's my job to give you as much information as I possibly can so you, with your free will, can make the right choice. When you expect us to tell you what to do, it's a very short path from that to, oh, you have a family curse. How many in your family? 4. You have dog. $50 every family member. 25 for dog. He's small. You come with me, we speak.
You did that very well.
You do
I
that
saw that
very
in
good.
Canada 20 years ago. It was
Wow.
it's why that got me to write my book, The Psychic Gellerberg Road. That one thing.
Oh my
You know,
goodness.
there are real gypsies in Roma, but gypsies are easy to fake. The long
Yes,
skirt
they
and the
are.
jingling jewelry and the bad accent. So this was a 150 booth fair. And a woman was walking by this woman's booth. And she goes out and says, you don't need to pay 30, 40, $50. I read your palm for 10. She comes out of the booth and grabs it. That's called hooking, and it's as bad as the other kind of hooking. Drags her into the booth. 20 minutes later, a bunch of us see that woman leaving crying hysterically. We go over to see what's wrong. She's now $400 lighter because the fake gypsy had said her entire family was going to die in a car accident in 2 weeks if she didn't burn 400 specially blessed candles at the Roman Catholic Church. I bless real good. Only $1 candle. You got it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now,
That's a hell of a hook.
That's a hell of a scam.
but
That is.
there is a difference. Things like my buddy, the Bruja, out in Shingle Springs, California, they have a shop called Crossroads Occult. It's brilliant. And she knows what she's doing, but she also has the things there to teach you how to do it as well. It's the energy and the will that goes behind it. Okay. Anyone comes up to you and says, magic hammer, $6,000, build a house in a week. You want to buy it? Obviously, don't.
No, that's a scam, man.
It is,
No.
but that's why you need to simply say all things like that are bad, are dishonoring the people who do their serious work. But a
Yeah.
fake gypsy like that, run, don't walk.
No. Um, I do have a question I was going to ask you earlier
Mhm.
too. Have you ever had anyone explain to you or tell you about them having shared a dream with another?
Oh yeah, party
How?
lines.
Yeah,
Party
okay, I
lines.
was wondering because the woman that I dated when I was younger, who was a witch or a
Yeah,
bruja, like
yeah.
she was Hispanic,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess you would call her the bruja.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we both had the exact same dream,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this because she explained it to me, not me to her, on the dream that she had,
Mm-hmm.
and it was exactly what I had seen in my dream.
It is very possible, whether it's from guides or something else. I had a very serious incident happen to me in Atlanta, Georgia, where I had all of my personal spirit guides and my friend Reverend Sharon. All of hers were there as well. I called her right afterwards, and she was able to tell me before I said anything exactly what happened from the 90-degree angle where her guides had been standing. So, yeah, brains can connect.
I was just kind of wondering, and it was a very strange actual dream that in the dream we were at a party and I wound up at some point actually and I could still remember it to this day and it felt so real actually wrestling and fighting with a what people would call a demon.
Look
And
anything like Mazikeen?
I'm not sure what Masakine looks like.
You go watch Lucifer. You'll know what Mazikeen
Oh,
looks like.
that show. I've
Yeah,
seen that
Maze.
show. I
Maze. She's
Oh
demon.
no, she didn't. It didn't look like Maze.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Now, if you would have said Lucifer Maze, I would have been like, oh no, 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 no. No, this looked like what they would what people explain a demon to look
Hmm.
like about 4 foot tall, kind of a reddish, dark red brown skin, little horns, claws, Sharp teeth.
Probably it didn't really look like that, but it fed onto what you considered a demon
It could be. Yeah,
and
it
pulled
could
it.
have been at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and she explained it in her dream as that as well. And I distinctly remember that in my dream and her screaming at me to, you know, about my tussling with it and all kind. It was just weird.
But to get back to your answer, yes, you can share a dream with people, especially if you're very close to them. Absolutely.
Wow, that's just amazing that you can do that. I've never heard of that one before. I mean, you've seen it on TV, of course. And
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that, Jen. Bring that up for a second.
you want me to bring that back up? This?
Yes, I just noticed that. I actually remember her telling me that.
Hmm.
And yeah, about 15 minutes after, yeah, I was at her door to pick her up and she was already ready.
The
And I'd
fact that
never
there's
called her or
two
anything.
different people and you're the center point, you got work to do, son. Don't waste it.
Like I said, I want to get back into it. I really do.
You
And
can.
I'm trying to find the proper way to do it. So
When you say the proper way, what do you mean?
I don't want to make mistakes. That's the biggest thing.
Wrong answer. Darling, everybody makes mistakes. Okay? Not everybody brings in demons into, the back parlor, but it's
Yeah,
how we learn. Mistakes are only rerouted opportunities. Okay?
I suppose that would make sense. Yes.
I can see why that wasn't a good night, Andy. What? Come here. Everybody talks about familiars. This one's my peculiar. Come here, Harley.
Not
Peculiar.
a
Oh,
familiar
What's
or
the difference?
peculiar.
it's
What's
a
the
Black
peculiar.
cat?
difference?
No, a ginger
No.
ninja.
Oh,
This is
ginger.
Harley. He's a rescue.
Sweet.
We saved him from a Bronx crack house where they only fed him every couple of days because they needed the money for the fix. He was thrown against the wall, and when they didn't like him, they locked him in closets for days. As you can
No.
see, he's gotten over it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You know, I'm not really a cat person,
But what's the
but I
difference
am. But I do
between a
like.
familiar and a peculiar?
A familiar is, like the Hallmark version. A peculiar
Oh,
is it's one strange whack cat, but it knows your mommy.
okay.
So
Okay, so how is it weird, or how would you say it would be weird that myself personally, when it comes to cats, anything other than a black cat, it feels like I have an allergy to it. I wind up getting like really bad itchy eyes, sneezing like crazy. But if it's a black cat, it doesn't even bother me.
it could be the type of cat. I have a friend who's very allergic to cats, but she's not allergic to Maine Coons. Something about the dander.
Oh, I
If you
love
step
Maine
on the
Coons.
keyboard, you become kitty pate. Go.
So I was just kind of wondering because I mean, my first black cat, or first cat I ever had that I never had a problem with was a black cat.
Hmm.
And then Jennifer had one that she found, and I could get around him every day of the week and not have a problem. But other cats, I'd always have like that allergy.
There's your answer.
Well, yeah, I could figure probably that, but I just could never understand why it didn't matter what breed the cat was. If it was a black cat, I never had a problem with an allergy. But if it was another color like a calico or an orange tabby or anything like that, I'd wind up sneezing like crazy and having
It
really
could
bad
also be
eyes.
it. Look, sometimes there's the old medical school saying, "When you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras."
Hmm.
It could just be that psychologically you loved black cats so much you did a mental override.
It could be. I'm
Never thought
I
of
don't
that.
know. I thought maybe there was some sort of weird explanation
Magic?
for it.
No.
Well, no, not magic, but just kind of strange.
So, do you believe in some of that other stuff like karma?
Yes, but
Yes, but what?
karma is explained wrong most of the time. People feel it's carrot and stick, bad and good. No,
Okay.
karma is how we learn.
All right.
And what we worked on in Robert Schwartz's book series, karma is five things: unbalanced energy, which is a neutral; healing, service, contrast. You want to learn about abundance, you have to be rich in one life, poor in another; and healing of beliefs. Um, some people would say, oh, she got cancer 3 times. She must have been so bad. No.
No.
What I did, I mean, look, I used to have a Dolly Parton figure from age 11. Um, and I used my looks as a bargaining chip wrongly. And one of the things I was here to learn was respect for females. Because when I'm a male, I'm not as good at that. So I'm in the female body so I can learn. That's why I got cancer twice, lumpectomies, radiation. They were misshapen and scarred, but they were still there. Third time, second primary. You take the clock back to zero. It's because the universe is saying, kid, we need you down there to teach, and you haven't dealt with this, so we're going to get rid of the problem so you can get past it. And it took me from a Dolly Parton figure to, a fat fire plug with permanent side effects. But I teach from that perspective now. Hasn't changed. I still like who I am. So the cancer was a teaching tool. It was not that I was bad. That's
Right.
why people get karma mixed up.
Oh, that's a good one. Never thought of it like that.
No, never thought of it that way either. I've always thought that people would, the more that they continued trying to screw others over and not be, um, not care about the person or the people that they're screwing over, that they'd wind up getting bit hard by karma. Something would
Well,
happen to them.
but remember, the people that you say they don't care, that's the part being played. Okay? Example: the soul of my birth mother is a perfectly kind and compassionate soul. But I had these lessons to learn down here, and I needed someone who would trip the trigger. She also had karma with my dad. I mean, she's had karma with my dad forever. I was new to this little party. Um, and so she came in as an alcoholic cross addicted with barbiturates who was wildly abusive. It doesn't mean she has a bad soul. It means I asked her to play this tough role so I could make choices either to take care of myself or not. That's why
Interesting.
don't judge Frances because she was an alcoholic cross addicted with barbiturates and a chain smoker. It's what that soul set up to play the role. So the universe doesn't do grishes. Do you know what a grisha is? It's
No.
a Yiddish word. It's when you stick in the knife and you twist it real good to make sure it's in there. The universe doesn't do that. The universe wants the best for us, but doesn't prevent us from doing the learning hard. We reach that trip trigger in our life, and we have two choices. If a life is like your major at college and you're going to graduate no matter what courses you take, some of us have an R&R life. That's where we take the gut courses. And some
Right.
of us, like me, just did everything wrong for decades until I wised up. I was double major plus lab. Both me and the person that had the easy life will graduate with our lessons learned.
Okay.
That's why you can have predestination and free will at the same time.
Hmm. You know, Talking with you, I have a totally different perspective on things now.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's actually a good thing
Okay.
Yeah,
because
well,
it,
it
it
put me at ease a little bit about all that shit that happens to me at night.
Oh, yeah.
She explained it better. You know.
So yeah.
I've been doing this for almost 50 years, 25 of it professionally. But it is why, for instance, yeah, I'll do some free readings on the air, but just to come on and do a whole bunch of free readings, I'm just the local carnival sideshow. People don't get to know me, how I work, how I think, what I've got behind the tarot cards. So that's why, sure, I'll do a couple of readings if you want, but I really appreciate the fact that you are more interested in doing the deep dish stuff than, well, we have a psychic. Who wants to know about their boyfriend?
Oh no no
No,
no
no,
no no
no, no,
no
no,
no.
no.
I'm not that way, and he's not that way.
So glad.
I want to know about you when we
When we
want to
have
put
guests, we try to promote them as, like you're
yes,
an author, so you got 3 books out there now.
Hmm.
yes, she
Yeah,
has three
which they can
books.
all be found on our website as well, probably
Yes, they
Amazon as
can.
Yes, they
well.
are.
Yes, they can.
Um,
The first one, Clean Out Your Life Closet, is actually self help, clarity, adaptability, simplicity, and making friends with stress.
hmm
Um, Psychic Yellow Brick Road is how to, well, good psychic guidance is an art. Don't settle for a forgery. Oh, you next? This is Baron Manfred. He's our oldest boy. Maine Coon.
Oh
Hello.
my, he's
Otherwise
pretty
known as
cool looking.
Grandpa Guampus. Get off my lawn.
There's
I'm on the air. Excuse you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, Joe.
So perfect. Yes, that's the Psychic Yellow Brick Road. That is both Kindle and paperback. Same thing for You've Got the Magic, Who Needs a Genie, and the one
the
right at
other
the
one.
bottom of the page, Clean Out
Keep
Your Life Closet,
keep scrolling down. There you go.
is paperback, Kindle, and an audio book. And I did the audio for it.
Awesome.
For me, if you've got a nonfiction book and the author has any kind of ability to speak well and to read it, it's from their heart. They should be the one who's reading it to you.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah,
sense.
it does make a lot of sense.
So
So, but yeah, that's why we're not going. Oh yeah, we got a psychic. You know, no, no, no. We want to
yeah,
know about you. We want to know what got you into it, and how long you've done it, and stuff like that. That's why we're not. I don't go all goo goo over that. So
thank you so much. The whole point is when you know you're making a difference in the world, as crazy as it is, and you get to get up every morning, you don't have to get up every morning. That's a gift. I started doing this full time right after 9/11. Being an executive recruiter, I knew that women usually get thrown on the dung heap with the corporate oligarchs
hmm
at age 50. I wanted to work for myself where I could be working on my deathbed if I chose to, and I've got that career. But starting it that early is why I'm an A-lister now. Now, what's an A-lister? When I do a psychic fair, even if it's a bad one, I'll always make money. I'm known. Books, radio, television. You saw that I just wasn't your typical,
no.
Trixie, yeah, Trixie Sparkle Plenty Yuts. Um,
Jennifer
and
Hudson.
the universe was at heart at first. Depends on what you talk about, Jen. Remember that when I was doing this first as a professional, evenings and weekends, still working as an executive recruiter. The key is you take all the money from that first year when you're grafting it on and you pour it right back into the business so that when you take the leap and you do it full time, you've already got your business stuff. And I'm lucky. I know how to stand on both mountains, business, WikiWoo. That's why I wrote You've Got the Magic, because it's not really just about holistic expos. It's everything that I know about the biz, how to network, how to advertise, how to do webinars, the stuff. So it was hard at first, but I was in my late 40s. I had a lot more energy. And I didn't care about it being hard at that point. The universe took care of things for me because 2 years ago was when I started coming off the road, wasn't really ready to, but shows started tanking or promoters started canceling. So when the big bug hit in March and
Yeah.
everything shut down, it didn't really affect me that much because 95% of my business had already been moved online. It's another example of the universe doesn't do gracious. It saw 2 years ahead what I was going to have to work with.
Right.
So it just said, trust us. And it did what it did.
So you
So
guys, go ahead, Mark.
no, I was just gonna. There was a thought that just popped in my head, and I was just kind of
Oh,
curious.
Well,
With the fact that you've been doing this for around 50ish years, which I honestly, I'm sorry, but you just do not look that old. But
lovely being here.
I wouldn't have guessed anywhere near that.
no, no, hell no. Um, do you believe that the Earth has a spirit?
Anything has a spirit. Look at quantum physics.
Well, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Um,
I
and besides, if God is in everything, there's a spark, God spark in everything.
okay.
Now, are you saying, are they all sentient? Different thing.
Well, that's the thing. I'm wondering if you are like some of the others that I've spoken with and actually have known, believe that the Earth herself is a sentient being, and that the
Did you
possible.
see what's going on out there? She wants to clear out the cockroaches.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That this
Yes.
virus, I'm sorry, this virus is she is so tired
Mother
of
Nature is pissed.
she's so tired of all the the parasites that we are on her,
Hmm.
just taking and taking and taking and taking and never giving back.
Preach. Preach.
Okay. And like I said, that was just a thought that just popped in. I was just wondering because
No,
I
I
believe,
totally agree.
I absolutely believe that the Earth Spirit Gaia is pissed at us and is literally trying to thin us out to a point where it's more easier for us to survive on this planet and maybe learn a lesson and actually start giving back to her instead of taking from her everything that we can.
If we don't, mankind will be extinct within 150 years.
Less than that.
All
I
right,
can
I was
see it. I
being
can see
nice.
it less than that.
I was being nice.
I can see if we do not wise up and start taking care of the life-giving planet that we live on, that our species will become a complete and total just a
God will look
spot
down and say,
in the memory.
we botched that one, didn't we? Well, let's try it again on
you know
Planet Search.
and it'll happen fast.
Mhm.
I mean,
But souls will come and they'll have their adventure somewhere else.
yeah,
Just because Earth is kaput and mankind doesn't exist doesn't mean the souls don't. They'll
Okay,
go be Zorchians or something.
we're coming up
okay,
on the hour.
yeah, I know we are out
I'm gonna
over
let
the
you.
hour, but I
If you
still
want
have
to keep,
another
all
question
right,
for her
I got to
quick.
take a break because it's getting bad here, and
Oh,
Where
you're
do
pumpkin
you?
is
getting.
Where
still
are you, babe?
outside.
Where are you, babe?
We're in Wisconsin,
Yeah, we're both
Oi.
in
and the
Wisconsin.
storm's starting to pick up. I can tell by the winds
He's in
and the
Watertown,
roar.
and I'm in
But I just need to
Fort
get
Atkinson.
puppy outside and back in quick before it gets too
Go.
bad.
Go
Go,
do
go, go,
that.
go, go.
I'll. I just wanted to ask her another question.
Go ahead.
All right, since you're in tune
Oi.
with this and in tune with the universe,
Oi.
how about this one? Do you believe that we as a species are the only intelligent species in this galaxy that we call the Milky Way and the universe that it is in? I love that look. I absolutely love that look.
If we're the only intelligent species in the universe, that
That's a
means God only has 8 crayons in the box, and God does not have just 8 crayons in the box.
that is a complete waste of space if we're actually the only intelligent life out here.
Yeah. That goes along with the sun revolves around the earth because we are the center. We are God's
Yeah,
chosen. Oh,
no, 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 no.
please.
I've always believed that there are other species of intelligence out there. And
I mean,
there are some, I guarantee
even
you, that are smarter than
the
us.
U.S. military is admitting to UFOs. They want us to think that it's Chinese and Russian super secret blah blah blah. No,
Oh, hell no.
no, it's people that are going. I don't know, Bleeble. What do you think? Should we go down there? I don't think so. They're still, with guns and bombs. Let's wait another
It's
20 years.
it's kind of it's kind of like the memes that I keep seeing on Facebook that people are posting. It's the two aliens sitting there, and the one walks in the room and he goes, "What you doing now?" I'm watching this shit show called Earth 2020."
As much as we all loved Star Trek First
Contact.
Contact, my darlings, no. Vulcans are too smart to come and visit now. They just are.
At this point, yes, they are very much too smart to come and visit
Yep. And
us.
we ain't even close
We
to
are
war.
such we are such a primitive and childish species. It's not even. It's really not that damn
I
funny.
know, and we have nuclear tantrums, which do not work well.
No, they
No,
don't.
I don't.
And the stupid thing is, there are some of us though. There are some of us that are smarter than than
The
the ones
average
that are in
bear.
power, unfortunately.
Yes.
But there are some of us that actually do realize some of this stuff. So I
Sorry.
just I just wish that they would come and just be like merciful with me and take me to their planet so I can actually have a beautiful life.
Do you remember, I think it was a Twilight Zone, where somebody found a wonderful book that they left called To Serve Man, and they thought, oh, these aliens are so wonderful and they all want to help us, and
No,
hundreds of people
it
got on
was
the
it was
ship,
a
and it was
cookbook,
a
How to
cookbook.
Serve Man.
Right. Right.
But they're
No.
not all that way. You know that.
They're not. The other ones are just passing us by saying, that's it, slump. We're not going there yet.
No, no, no. They haven't learned their lesson yet. So we're gonna just let them be. We're gonna let them stew for a little bit.
Yep. Yep. Exactly so.
So anyway, um, it has been a very intuitive session with you. I appreciate you
I
coming
had
on
fun.
and talking with us.
Oh, sure.
Oh, it was a blast. Um,
So,
so anyway,
yes.
you got anything else, Joe?
No, I learned a lot more than I was expecting.
Good.
I
Good.
loved it. It was
My-
freaking awesome.
My
it was
pleasure.
great. I had a fun. And if you want to check her out and know more about her website's scrolling at the bottom there. Check it out.
CorbieMitleid.com. Yeah, I'm hard to avoid on the web. Find me on Pinterest, on Instagram, Twitter. It's all Corbie Mitleid. Yeah, Corbie Mitleid channel on YouTube. Go party.
Oh, cool. So I'm gonna have to check that one out now.
YouTube?
Yes,
Yeah, I'll
the
have to
YouTube
check
one.
that out too.
Super.
And then you got your two. You said two on.
Yes, on
Facebook,
Facebook, the one with all the wiki woo and the spiritual stuff is Fire Through Spirit.
Fire Through Spirit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Great.
So make sure to check her out. Yeah. And it was great having you. And also don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube and check out our website at www.utterlyinsaneproductions.com.
Super.
Find all our links.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
Well, Corby, thank you very much. And
A
I
pleasure.
appreciate it. And hopefully you liked us enough that if we ever have you back, you'd like to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk. We can talk. We'll have coffee, as we say in New York.
Awesome.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Corby.
much. It was fun.
Take it easy, guys.